Hello and welcome to Supernatural Lifeline Revelations. I am your host, Prophetess TNT, Taryn Tarver. I want you to tag, share, and invite because your timeline is someone else's lifeline. We have been talking about wealth building, purpose, leadership, because God's desires for you to gain wealth. He wants you to gain wealth. He gave you the ability to gain wealth. Blessed are the works of your hands. And in my position, in my job, God has called me in 3 John 1 and 2 to literally to bring knowledge and wisdom to the souls. He says that it's his desire for you to prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospers. Today, we're gonna make sure that your wealth is building. You're building a community, but you're finding purpose. So I brought to you today a man of God that is not only a senior pastor of Agape Church in Los Angeles, he's also a well-respected leader, philanthropist, and humanitarian, also a politician, I would say. It's in your blood. We have Bishop Craig Worsham, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here today.
Thank you, Bishop. I'm so glad that you're here because you have a lot to give us. We just had a slight technical difficulty, and I was like, we were right in the heart of talking about some great things, and so I don't want us to lose track because you were on Habakkuk, talking about Habakkuk 1 and 2, and about arising and how to discover your purpose, and I was asking some questions about purpose. But before we even get to that, we were talking about like transferred wealth, and transferred wealth doesn't just happen with your natural parents, but with your spiritual parents too.
Indeed.
So being a senior pastor, you have a lot of people in your congregation who have been able to benefit from the things that God has tied you to and the knowledge and wisdom that you have. Being at this moment, you are connected with the National Association of Real Estate Brokers in Baltimore. You're helping people to be able to, with NARAB, to be homeowners and understanding that property and wealth is important and how to get to that place. Because a lot of people just don't have knowledge and wisdom in the Black community. Can you really talk about why it's important for us to have home ownership and why land is important and the understanding that this can happen for us and you can be not a renter, but you can be an owner and you can actually build wealth with your real estate?
Yes, the scripture is true, and it's very important when we hear the words that a good man, and that's genderlessly, a
Yes.
good man, a good woman, leaves an inheritance to their children and to their children's children and their children's children's children, generation upon generation. In order for us as African Americans to close that racial wealth gap, we have to be very intentional about our aggressive moves towards home ownership, real estate investment, and land development. The greatest blessing that we can experience here on earth, and I think we said a moment ago, we all want to have cash. Cash is wonderful.
It's a tool. I say it's currency for a reason. It's supposed to flow to you and through you.
Through you, absolutely. But to know that you can go to bed this evening and have a few deeds in your safe deposit box
yes.
is true. True wealth is not in the cash we possess. True wealth is in the land that you own. If I had to have a choice between cash and land, I'd choose land any day.
I like this.
And let me say this, my grandmother, we talked about my grandfather, but let me say something about my grandmother. My grandmother was a real estate broker, real estate developer, real estate investor, and she taught us, my cousins, she taught us how to allow your real estate to become your bank. Now,
real estate to become your bank.
You become your own bank through your real estate. So I asked my grandmother, well, what do you mean you become your own bank?
Yeah, I want to know what you mean.
My grandmother had a duplex in Inglewood on Gramercy Place and Century. It was given to her by my great-grandfather.
Okay.
It was paid for. She had tenants in that duplex. She had equity in that duplex.
Yes.
My grandmother borrowed from the equity on that duplex, purchased 20 units on Pico and Manhattan Place.
Okay, so let me see if I'm getting this right. I just want to break it down to you. I think this is what I'm hearing, just for those that want to understand how this is working. I was going to buy a business. I think I was like 24, and I was in Oregon, and I went to the bank the same day. I told the lady, she said, just give me $10,000, you can pay me later. I said, okay. So I looked at what I had. What do I have that I have the title deed to? oh, I got this car. It's paid off. It's still good worth money. I said, and I don't even drive it. My Honda Accord. And they said, what kind of loan do you want? Secured or unsecured loan? I said, well, tell me what that means. And he said, oh, secured loan is you're putting something up for it. We can borrow against it.
Yes.
So I said, oh, I have a car. And they took that, put it in there, said, 10 minutes later, would you like us to transfer it in your account? And so literally I just borrowed it against the car, basically, got the money. They had something that they could repossess if it didn't work out. And I just made payments on the money that they gave me. Is that what you're referring to right now?
That is exactly what I'm referring to. And someone may be watching, well, why would your grandmother go into debt to purchase 20 units? Because my grandmother knows when she purchased the 20-unit building on Manhattan Place, it was she already had tenants. She already had a rent roll established. All right?
It's already gone through inspection. You already have everything going. So realistically,
money's coming in every month.
Transfer of money over here.
So now you have a mortgage on Gramercy Place. Well, the rent roll is what's paying the mortgage on Gramercy Place.
So you pay off Gramercy Place completely, get that taken care of, and now you're working on taking care of this, and so you can actually get more property.
So now I've got equity on Gramercy, I've got equity on St. Andrews Place, and I may have more equity on St. Andrews because I've got 20 units. It's a larger piece of property.
Absolutely.
So as I want to expand a real estate portfolio, I'm able to borrow. And still, one duplex becomes your bank.
See, and I've been talking to my daughter, and she just said she's going to, I said, you really should be purchasing a house. I was like, because I bought my first house at 22. I had built just programs. So just like he said, NARAP, they're an organization to help educate you so you can get into being a homeowner and understanding money and wealth. You only know what somebody teaches you, shows you, or you read or learned, okay? And you can still have to have discernment. So I'm at church, Bishop, and I see this piece of paper just hanging there. And you know, the informational board, community board, it says you can be a homeowner. Only thing it says I can be a homeowner. That's all I can be a homeowner. I can have a house built. So I call. The lady said, oh, you must have seen a wrong flyer, old flyer. You know what? Go to 8 months of classes. We look at your credit, and guess what? You can have a house. Well, they looked at the first people's credit, saw where they were. I started fixing a couple things. And then next thing you know, they said, we're going to help you for these 8 months. Give us $100 a month, that's your $800. This will go towards your down. We have this program, and they're going to match what you have, so you'll have a zero down because we have programs that are going to help you get into this building, to this house. I'm like, okay. So I was like 4th or 5th on the line, and they gave me my keys, and I had a brand new house from the ground up. Now, then one day I found out when I was 24 that I could have this brand new house built from the ground up. I go over there's just blackberry bushes. We ended up paving a road, putting it down in there, building the house, 90 days, because I think my credit was like a 680 when they looked at it. They started building, 90 days, I had a brand new house. And if I ever needed anything, I had these houses. Now, I didn't know what exactly I had. You know, I sold them. I never lost them. I sold them. God allowed me to hold on and maintain these things. But I could have did something greater with it if I had really just had more education.
Correct.
And like your grandmother gave you. So wealth is in the education you're even giving us right now, where we can know what to do, and that there's programs out there. I tell everybody, find the program. So I was telling the story to them, and we were in the garage. Skylar and I were cleaning up stuff, getting everything ready for this documentary. And here's the newspaper with me on the front cover with my keys. And I said, you know what's bothering me right now? And they were like, what, prophetess? I said, not one of you guys have asked me what's the name of that program. So now I have like 8 of my spiritual kids. They found the program here, and now they're using the program, and they're up to get their own home. And
we have that within NARALLA with our National Investment Division, which are we have HUD certified counselors that not only help you go through your first-time homebuyer courses, get you connected to first-time homebuyer down payment assistance.
There you go.
But also foreclosure prevention, because the home ownership rate fluctuates, because what happens is people are buying, but people are on the verge of losing. So we have to have HUD certified counselors that are helping folks get loan modifications.
This is great.
And prevent the foreclosure, because we don't want you to get in the house and then lose the house.
I
So
love that.
we had those
And I went through
programs are
HUD.
out there.
That's
Yeah.
what I went through HUD. Then I was in Oregon. It was the St. Vincent de Paul program, and so it was available. But I really like the fact that your grandmother passed this down to you. Like I said, I tell them, you guys, athletics was passed down to me. It's no accident my daughter had a basketball in her hand at 2, 3 years old, and I'm at practices, and we're sitting there as parents working and looking at them finishing
Indeed.
because we're investing in our children's future. What high school we put them in, what people we surround them with. So this is us wealthily. We're building. We're paying it forward. So I think I mentioned earlier that my father was the one who brought athletics to us when someone else noticed he had an ability. So it always takes somebody else you meet to go to your next step in your level. So he ends up bringing his family from out in the fields to the city because he ended up going to the NFL, you know? And so someone opened up that opportunity, but they didn't finish college, but he was the first to go to college. And then after that, he opened up the floodgates and everyone in the family went to college. He has 5 children, all have degrees and master's degrees, some of us. And then also we use sports as a tool to be able to go forward where we need to be.
Indeed.
So this is what I love about your story, Bishop, is that you're in the 1800s, your family brought 1,000 acres of land.
My great grandfather in the my great grandfather in the early 1800s in Montgomery, Texas. 1,000 acres of land for $1,000.
For $1,000.
For many folks, $1,000 is no money. Back then, that was a lot of money.
So I wonder what that accumulates to now. It's like $1 million, $10 million?
Probably $1 million back then, you know, but $1,000.
Yeah.
And so those tracts of land, of course, as the family has expanded, those tracts of land have been divided upon great-grandchildren, grandchildren, children, so forth and so on. My family, with those 1,000 acres, if you were to go into Montgomery now, you will see that some of our family members have developed neighborhoods,
Yes.
entire subdivisions.
Wow.
My cousin John and his tracts of land is doing a lot of farming there in Montgomery. I have another cousin, my cousin Stafford and his folks, they built an entire family park, man-made lake,
cousins,
all of that.
aunties, uncles, everyone in the family.
All a part of that
This is your
Worsham
inheritance.
lineage.
Wow.
My mother has mineral rights. She has timber. You know, she's got frontage road property. If she ever decided to build a mansion there, she could. So just generation upon generation.
Well,
And it's still there.
This is so great. I heard this story by Torrey Roberts, I think it was, where he was a guest speaker in Long Beach one day, and I was there, and I will never forget the story. I don't even remember anything else he talked about but this story about, you mentioned mineral rights. Well, he said that this guy was like, I guess, an NBA or NFL football player, and he had like the last like $300,000 of his money, and the Lord said he'd been sowing, he got saved, and he was talking to God about generational wealth, and all of a sudden, God tells him, buy this land. So then the land all of a sudden is like, becomes a problem because he's lost all his money. He didn't have a backup. He didn't really know what he was going to do. And then he's figuring like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I don't know what to do with this land. And he's about to go into foreclosure with everything he has. He's losing everything. His marriage is in trouble because they're financially strapped. And all of a sudden, he's like, goes to God. God, you told me to buy this land. I spent all of my money. I didn't have a backup plan. And now he's going into complaining, which takes us into Habakkuk. But he's complaining to God about the situation.
Right.
You guys, God has a plan. Why did they discover that there was oil on the land?
Yeah.
Oh, instant like $20 million. Like, hey, so we need this land. What do we need to do? They came to him to come buy it because when he discovered, like, why are all these people trying to come to me all of a sudden to buy this? Because they understood that you don't know the value of what you have in this land. And so literally he was sitting on a jackpot and did not know it. I love what the Bible says about Jacob. He says, when he's leaving and he's running from, on his way to Laban, and he's got the Jacob's ladder, it's ascending and descending. He sees the angels. He wakes up and he says, I was in a good place and I did not know it. Some people own things that they don't even know what's on the land.
And this is why we have to stop selling what we inherit. I appreciate what my grandmother did in her trust.
Yes.
when she passed, and she basically left properties to all of her grandchildren.
I love it.
And to her 2 children. But in my grandmother's trust, there's a clause there that no property that we were to inherit was to be sold. And the only way we could refinance the property was A, refinance property to send our children to college, which my middle cousin Angela has done that, to send both of her girls through college, or to purchase
another property,
additional property.
To be the bank.
To be the bank,
Okay.
not to just have cash to have
flow.
cash. Yeah.
Yes.
So she wrote that in there. And so we teach that in the community, particularly in Los Angeles, in our predominantly black communities, what we call old money, Baldwin Hills View
Old
Park.
money.
Don't sell.
Don't sell.
Because you will be offered pennies on the dollar to leave a gold mine
to somebody else.
So generational wealth, we talk about a lot. The church magnifies generational curses.
Right.
We preach against generational curses.
Yes.
But we don't spend a lot of time talking about the importance of generational wealth.
Yes.
I say to my members all the time, I want y'all to have something to shout about. Y'all dancing and having a good time and falling out and whatever. I want you to do it, but I don't want you to dance broke.
I'm totally
I want you to shout over your generational wealth. And if you didn't get it with your grandparents, if it didn't happen with your parents, it can happen with you. And it's simple. You just need to be educated and given the tools and resources to get it done.
Well, even I was talking to someone, and sure, you can upgrade your car every 2 years. That's great and everything. But my ex-husband, they owned an international shoe company. They made like $333 million in like, 3 years span. And they were in everywhere. They, were all around the world. They were innovative and all these things. But poor money management, when you're renting jets and planes and you endorse athletes, your money, and you're paying factories for shoes, you don't have a little debt, you have $9 million debt. It's different. So realistically, when they went into their bankruptcy, all of a sudden it went from like 20 cars to no cars. And I was like, wait a minute. Nobody owns one of these cars? And so people always say, well, Prophetess, why do you always buy the car? I say, well, if I can pay the car off in a year, or I really just put it on there so I can build the credit. And then it was funny because someone saw me yesterday, and they were just like, I've learned how to, I sow a lot, first of all, into the kingdom. I believe in funding the kingdom. I am a kingdom funder. So God gave me some money at one point to see. It was a test. What are you going to do with this money? And then the church started having their building fund to get this building. I thought, at first I said, I gave $5,000, I'm good. I was like, then as it went on, I said, oh man, okay, can we give another $5,000?
Right.
And I saw that come back. I was like, oh, wait a minute. And I gave like $10,000. I was like, surely I'm done now. We're good. I've done my part.
Absolutely.
And then I looked and I said, 10,000 came back. I heard the Lord say, you're going to go and give $20,000. So I went there with the intention to give $20,000. I sat down and he said, give 25. I was like, oh my, I'm giving you 25. But I learned principles from the Word of God about sowing and coming back and having an understanding of the Word. And so realistically, I was just putting money away, didn't know what I was going to do with it. When it came to opportunity and I gave it, God kept giving it back to me quickly. And then grants opened up left and right, and different things were coming to me. And I was like, oh my goodness. And I realized I'd been tested. Would I honor God? Because if I would honor God, and you can honor God when you have hardly anything, you definitely can honor God when you have something.
Right.
And I hear a lot of people say, I'm going to give when I get something. But the Bible says I give seed to the sower.
Absolutely.
So you have to already be a sower to get the seed. So not, when I get the seed, then I'll sow. No, it doesn't work like that. I plant the seed, it grows. I have to be a giver. So I loved the giver I became. And even the guy said the other day, he says, my driver, he was driving my car last night, and he says, is this your Range Rover? I said, this is one of them. I just like, did you just say that? I was just thinking, like, it's one of them. It's one of them, because if I want to give that car away,
Absolutely.
I'm not in bondage to that car. I can give it away free and clear to a family who might need that car. And I know another one can be given to me. God is giving me that ability, but I love the fact that we can have the title deed to something. We can have that and say, we own this. If anything happens, like I think it just stuck with me with that bankruptcy situation where, wait a minute, you have nothing. The house you bought in Malibu, now you have nothing. You guys don't have anything. You have nothing left over.
Right.
For all those years of work. I just could not see myself having nothing. So I was like, I would rather pay off a car than pay off another car. And I don't believe in having one car. I believe in having a couple and 2 or 3. And so that I can bless somebody else. And I've been giving away those giveaway cars.
So cash
Yeah.
is disposable.
Okay, this is great.
Cash is disposable.
Yes.
I have cash in my wallet right now. I
Yeah.
will give it to a restaurant in a matter of 60
Minutes.
gone.
Right.
It's disposable.
Yeah.
What the Lord wants to do for his people, especially those that are givers and those that sow, he wants to give you sustainable wealth. See, I don't want to just talk about wealth. Let's talk about sustainable wealth.
Teach us, Bishop.
We're sowing and we're looking to reap a harvest on the seed. So then we sow 5, God gives us 10.
Okay.
We're going to spend that 10. It is disposable cash. What I'm believing God for is that as you and others give, then God is going to return to you sustainable wealth in land, deeds, property, so forth and so on.
And there's scriptures of this. I will give you houses that you didn't build with stuff in it. You know, the land transfer. In a sun-scorched land, you shall arise. He'll make sure that you never go without. So these things are valuable because he's a preserver. We know that through Egypt. We know that what happened with Joseph. He was sent ahead of them to preserve the people for a time of drought.
Drought. The children of Israel
Yes.
headed to Canaan,
Yes.
flowing,
Flowing.
constant, sustainable. There's a constant flow of wealth coming. Why do I say that? Flow, sustainable. Because when I own it and I have tenants, it's coming in.
It's coming in.
It's coming in.
Yes.
There's that flowing. It
Yes.
may not be literal milk and honey,
Right.
but it's flowing from you.
Well,
It's flowing to your children.
Milk is substance that we're being fed from. And then it's like honey is sweet. So I get the sweetness and I get the growth. I'm being fed at the same time.
Yeah.
So, you know, when I'm in the airplane and I'm looking down and I see all these houses, and as a Christian, I'm saying, does God love them more than you? You should be homeowners. Somebody built that giant building. Does God love that person? He did it. I can do it.
Yeah.
And we need to see that there's ways and there's ideas and how to turn those ideas into profit so that then you can purchase something and own it and begin to have a residual income and wake up with money in the bank and those different things. A lot of people are ignorant to a lot of, I've been ignorant at times to a lot of things that you can do. What can someone do if they're saying, look, first of all, I'm in debt. I always tell them when you're in debt, my part is like, start paying your tithes. Well, I will when I can afford it. I said, you're backwards, you're not understanding. Trust God with what you have. Oh, but my rent is $1,500 and it is $1,500. I said, give God his 10% and watch how he can multiply that $1,500. Just trust God first. So, of course, that's the beginning basis. Speaking things into existence, having an understanding of knowledge and wisdom of what God has provided for us. And then now, okay, so now you broke even maybe. You're not in the red anymore. Now you're in the black. That's why they call it Black Friday. It was when that's how they get out the red. It was Black Friday. This thing started rising up. Now what? I got a little bit of cash flow. I got $10,000 that came to me. I have $20,000 that come to me. What do I pay off all my bills or do I go buy something that's going to multiply? What would you say?
Here it is. Number 1, discipline. I must be disciplined with my tangible resource. When I am disciplined, now we're disciples.
Yes.
That discipline, we get our word disciple from. So I have to be a disciplined disciple, and my discipline will help me understand the principles of tithing, and it does not just end with tithing.
Right.
Then I must be a sower.
Oh, yes.
Tithe is what is owed to God.
Absolutely.
For the work of the temple.
Yes.
You cannot go to a temple and eat at the table of the temple from the man or woman of God and not tithe. The tithe was for the work of the temple and its workers.
Absolutely.
Then you must be a sower. When I tithe, it is a debt that I owe to God. When I sow, when I give, whether it's above and beyond the tithe to the ministry, to the homeless person, to the business, so forth and so on, I'm now moving in a level of faith, trusting God with the seed that I have sown. There's going to be a supernatural return on investment. So I must become disciplined. Number two, I must be developed.
Okay, I'm going to stop you because we're going to go into our next segment.
All right.
I don't want you guys to miss this because Bishop Craig Worsham, we are talking about wealth building, generational legacy, purpose, and how you can multiply what you have, starting from the place where you're at right now and building up. I'm Prophetess TNT, and we are here transforming and changing your life. Remember that your timeline is somebody else's lifeline. Please tag, share, and invite. God bless you. They're going to come right back.